What's going on, guys? XP here. Let's talk about FMCs or MCDUs, flight management computers or multifunction control display unit. Am I saying that right? Yeah, something like that. Let's talk about it in flight simming. What is a FMC, or what is a multifunction control display unit or a flight management computer? Basically, for us simmers, it is the box or the thing in the cockpit of the aircraft where you get to put in your flight plan, plan your route, put in your SIDS and stars, put in your runway, put in your V speeds, and a lot of them also allows you to put in like weight and passenger stuff for flight simming. We have those in the 3D cockpit, in the simulator itself on the computer, where you can use your mouse or your keyboard to input all your information. But as us flight simmers go, we always want to make things a little bit more interesting. We could fly with our mouse, or we could fly with our keyboard, but no, we buy controllers, we buy hardware stuff, rudder pedals, joysticks, yoke, you name it. But what about the FMC? When it comes to the FMC, we also want to have something outside of the 3D cockpit that we can physically touch and feel. And that's what the FMC and the MCDU gives you the ability to do, is to do it outside of the 3D cockpit so you can know exactly what it is you're doing here. So what are our options as flight simmers? Well, right now we can get really good hardware for both the FMC and the MCDU. FMC is in a Boeing airplane, MCDU is usually in an Airbus airplane, something like that. Don't quote me on it, I'm not an expert, but that's what I know. And right now on the market, there are a couple of choices for each, and they're very good. We have Cockpit Masters, and Cockpit Masters has a FMC physical keyboard, nice key clicks, the perfect shape, the perfect height and weight, and it works very good. However, the issue is it's very expensive. As of filming this video, it's costing like what, $799, almost $800 US to get one of those. And you're like, wait a minute. Spend $5 for my rudder and my yoke and my joystick, another $800 just for an FMC. And mind you, we only really use the FMC a lot before landing to set up, and maybe once or twice during the flight to do directs and stuff like that. So, but you got to consider that it's $800 for this hardware. Very good hardware, $800. Also, there's an MCDU by another manufacturer, and it's called a Java simulation, and they sell theirs for the Airbus, and it works. With Microsoft Flight Sim, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure about X-Plane if it works for that. And that is what, $420. I checked on their website, $420. You're like, wow. So, okay, maybe I'll just stick to using mouse and keyboard to manipulate the FMC or the MCDU in the airplanes that we fly. But there's a third option. It's a multi-purpose option. It's an option that works for both X-Plane, Microsoft Flight Sim, and with multiple airplanes. And it's probably something that you already have in your house that you never thought about using, or you've seen me use on stream, you've asked me about it. I figure I'll give you some more details about what we're talking about today. So what we're talking about is using your tablet or your iPad or Android, any kind of tablet you have, or a web browser to have the function of the FMC or the MCDU in your sim setup. And as you guys see me right now, I'm using an iPad for that. And the iPad is very good. It allows you to manipulate stuff. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna break down the difference between Microsoft Flight Sim and X-Plane and what you can do with the iPad. I have an example here on my screen. That is the FMC for the PMDG. And we'll talk about who provides that, how it comes about, and so forth. I also have for X-Plane, and we'll get into both there and let you guys know what we're talking about. In Microsoft Flight Sim, even though the simulator is new, you have a couple of options that you can use. And let me start with the main one, which is a payware. It's called Avia CDU, AVIA CDU. Many people have asked me about it. And the way Avia CDU works is that you get what's called an Avia server. That it's a program that sits on your computer. And that program then talks to your iPad, your web browser, your Android tablet, whatever you use, and it tells you to type in a certain IP address, and that IP address is what's going to bring up on your browser the screen that you're looking at, which is your FMC. And right now with Avia CDU, the way they're doing their pricing on it, it's only $10 per aircraft. So basically, I paid $10 to have the PMDG work with the Avia CDU. I also paid another $10 to make the MD-80 work with it, and then also another $10 to make this CRJ work. And I think they're going to be adding more airplanes as they come out. But you pay $10 to license each aircraft to use with the Avia CDU, and it gives you full function. It gives you exactly what you see on the screen in the 3D cockpit on the FMC is exactly what you see on your iPad. And you can manipulate it, do anything you want. Also, a lot of them are dual CDUs. So if your airplane like the PMDG 737 has dual CDUs where you can have independent screens on each CDU, you can also do it on the iPad to go switch back and forth between the two. I've done that before. So if you want the right FMC on something else and the left FMC on something else, it allows you to manipulate that and be able to do that. So the Avia CDU works very well with that. I've used it once with the CRJ, that works, and the MD-80 definitely works. I've tried all three. But some of you guys have seen me use it on the Airbus, and specifically the fly-by-wire Airbuses. So the fly-by-wire A320neo, luckily for us, gives this to you for free. You don't have to pay for it. In the fly-by-wire, there's a thing called the MCDU server. Now the MCU server is available in the fly-by-wire app or the program that you use to update the airplane. It also have the MCDU server built in. So whenever you load the fly-by-wire airplane, it automatically starts. I think it's called the MCDU bridge. Don't quote me on that. I'll probably put a note of the real name. But it's a bridge server. So it's free of charge with the fly-by-wire A320. So for Microsoft Flight Sim, there you have it. You have the Avia CDU, which is $10 per aircraft. And you also have the fly-by-wire mod. That's free of charge for you guys to use. But what happens if you're on X-Plane? What do we have on X-Plane? Well, we have a gold mine on X-Plane. This thing has been around forever on it. And it's called WebFMC Pro. There is a free version of this if you want to try it. It's called WebFMC. But there's a WebFMC Pro that's out there. It is for X-Plane 11, and I think they just dropped it for X-Plane 12. It works with basically almost every airplane on X-Plane 11 and now 12. The price of that is $19.99, so $20 gives you all these airplanes. Let me go ahead and read them off for you, tell you what airplane. Rotate MD-11, Level Up 737, FlyJ Sim Q400, the Hot Start Challenger 650, Tolis A340, the Jar Design A340, X-Craft CRJ airplane, the default X-Plane, the Tolis A319, the Tolis 321, the Flight Factor 7576 and 777, the Flight Factor A320, the Flight Factor A350, all the Jar Designs A320 and 330, say the Rotate MD-80 as well, the J-Rollon CRJ 2000, the IXEG 737, the SSG 747, the SSG E-Jets, and the Zebo, of course. So all that comes for only $20 for X-Plane 11. X-Plane 12, I think the price went up to $30 or $35. I'll put a price in the link below for that. So for X-Plane, you have the similar option that Microsoft Flight Sim does, where for just one flat rate, you'll get all these airplanes working, either dual or even triple CDU works in a lot of these airplanes. We'll look at the website and just see what it works with. So those are the options on X-Plane if you want to have that FMC or MCDU in your cockpit setup at home. I think it's very good to have these things. The immersion level just goes up by 100% when you're using it. Also, it's easy to use. You know, you're a single pilot up on these airliners. So a lot of time you're taking off, your hand flying, you get a direct to whatever waypoint. You want to fly, but you don't want to look down and zoom in on the FMC. It's right there in the cockpit, glance down on it, touch it, direct to a particular waypoint and so forth. So it's a very good tool to have and a very good tool to use, and it's very inexpensive for both platforms, I might add. Now, how do you set up something like this? I alluded to it before. Usually with the 2 different software or the 3 different software, you just follow the instructions, but what you're going to end up with is the instruction is going to get to a point where it gives you an IP address. Type that exact IP address in your web browser, and once you type it, just like magic, boom, the FMC comes up and starts working on your tablet or working on your iPad. It's very, very easy to use, very, very easy to set up. And as I said, once you have it working, just go ahead and save that particular page as a desktop shortcut. You can also use it on another computer if you have. If you have a laptop, you can put that on a laptop. But your laptop is not touchscreen. That's the only thing. You'd have to use your keyboard and mouse to manipulate that as well. So how does this thing feel to use? Well, you're touching a glass screen. In the case of the iPad, you're tapping on a glass screen and you think that, well, it's not going to feel like a button. Well, what they do add to it is sounds. There's key click sounds. Some of them are slightly different what the key click sounds like, but it's enough to give you a feedback. As a matter of fact, I had it turned up too loud. It was just too loud of a feedback. I reduced mine to like 25%. So I could just hear that whatever I'm inputting, it works and it works well. I don't miss the fact that I'm not actually pushing physical buttons. It just works right off the bat, and you hear that little feedback sound and you watch it change in the airplane itself. Now, the only drawback that I see is sometimes there can be a little bit of lag. A lag of maybe 2 seconds, 1 second, and you have to input and wait for it to register in the airplane. But a lot of times it's fast. So it goes back and forth, but it's not enough to ruin your immersion. So that would be one drawback, but it's not a major drawback that prevents you from using it or ruin your immersive experience. So overall, with the web browser, iPad, Android tablet, EFB, as you can see, when I fly, I use it a lot. As a matter of fact, when I find planes that don't have it, I'm a little bit upset. I'm a little bit mad at those planes or that developer not giving the ability to have their systems modeled so I can use my physical iPad to set up the route. Right now, the Phoenix A320 does not have the ability, and I think it has to do with the way or the licensing that they're using to run their system. It doesn't allow for that to be picked up by a third party at this point. Hopefully that's something they'll change in the future. But for now, when I'm flying the PMDG, the MD-80, the CRJ, those just work. It literally takes 2 seconds for it to pop up on my screen. The way this works is, by the way, you have to make sure that you're on the same network. My computer is plugged into my router, or it can be on Wi-Fi. Your tablet is on Wi-Fi. If you're on the same Wi-Fi network, that's how it picks up and works. Both devices have to be connected to the same network, and it will work flawlessly for you. And as far as the immersion is concerned, 100. The immersive experience you get from this is 100. So I recommend this. You guys should do it. You should go for it if you have an old iPad laying around, or if you have one that you already use. It's multi-purpose. These devices are very expensive. Use it for different things. Why not go ahead and throw it in your flight sim and use that as your FMC or MCDU? I hope this helps, guys. I'll see you on the next stream. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Have a great day. Peace and see you.